Let's turn our attention now to the heat waves and wildfires that have been taking hold in parts of Europe. Here, the National Farmers Union says agriculture is on a knife edge after drought was declared in more than half of England, along with parts of Wales. A major incident has been declared in Suffolk after a large wildfire broke out on heathland. Meanwhile, in Spain, 24,000 people have been told they can return to their homes in the Madrid region, but some fires further afield have continued to burn. Fire crews in France have been tackling wildfires in the southwest as temperatures soared to 40 Celsius, prompting fears that more fires could break out. Officials in the Gironde region in southwest France insist blazes there are under control. Thousands of evacuees can now return to their homes, but they've been warned they might need to leave again. Our correspondent James Waterhouse reports from Le Temple, west of Bordeaux.
This is an operation of containment rather than cure. So-called flare-ups are now the main concern and priority for these emergency teams, which means it's a job for their aerial cavalry.
This is the sharp end of the fight against these forest fires. You can see water being dumped. But this was the fear. With temperatures rising, the fire could reignite, and the speed at which the emergency crews have got here and tried to contain it is quite something.
On the ground elsewhere, fire crews carry out what's called noyer, meaning drowning. They moisten the soil and vegetation to prevent the flames from spreading, but they are far from doused. Most locals have followed instructions to leave, but not Pierre Alexandre and his son Clément. That's despite the fire starting in a forest next to their home.
So we received the information to leave on Friday.
But you still didn't leave. Why?
We wanted to protect our house. We wanted to protect the forest, our village. We are not firefighters.
So you were willing to risk your lives?
Yes, we took the decision to try.
As soon as one flare-up is contained, another emerges on the other side of the road. Fire crews from all corners of France have now joined this fight, with an army of local volunteers behind them. They know their foe is a powerful one, but to give up is not an option. James Waterhouse, BBC News, the Gironde region.
I've been speaking to our correspondent in Paris, Hugh Schofield, and he gave me his assessment of the current situation across the country.
It's relatively good. One has to say that for the first time I sense that there's a hint of optimism creeping into the briefings. Last night things were stable again. That means for 3 or 4 days now it's been stable, that the amount of burning has not increased. The big fires at the weekend, ever since then it's been really a question of controlling the flare-ups, as you heard there in James's report. And last night there were flare-ups, there are still outbreaks. Constant vigilance is required, but it is obviously not going out of control. The weather is improving. There might even be a little bit of rain this morning. Temperatures have dropped back down from that very high of 40 degrees yesterday. And they're speaking for the first time of allowing evacuees back in, not giving a time, but they're talking about that prospect opening up soon. And I noticed as well that for the first time in a week, a lot of the Paris newspapers are not leading with this story, which shows, I think, that it's beginning to calm down and that we can start envisioning an end to it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, a couple of arrests, I gather, for on suspicion of arson. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, I mean, these go on all the time across the country. There have been, I think the figure was given about 150 arrests over the last few weeks, and there were 2 more yesterday. They're constantly pushing on people the fact that it's human behaviour which causes most of these fires, either deliberate or accidental. Some of the time it is deliberate. A lot of the time it's accidental, of course, by people just being stupid, having cigarettes and not putting them out properly while they're driving through the forest and so on. That people are being arrested all the time, not necessarily prosecuted at the end of it all, but they're being picked up if they behave stupidly or deliberately badly, and people have been brought to brought to justice. I have to say that this is something which will, even though we're entering perhaps the end game, it's going to be a long end game, and that the vigilance will have to be maintained for many, many weeks to come. There were big wildfires down there in 2022, and it was some weeks before they could say that it was definitively over. Why? Because the embers can gestate underground for a long time. The ground will remain very, very hot, and if conditions return, then you get this smouldering effect once again, plumes of smoke coming off the ground, which can be whipped up into a fire. So though the worst seems to be over, they'll have to remain in a state of constant vigilance for some time to come.
Hugh Schofield in Paris.